All right. For your problem set and exit ticket, I was going to do a few of them with you, but I needed a place value chart, so I included it in the first page of mine. I know you have your whiteboard with your problems or with your place value chart. So let's get started with this first one. First, they want us to think about how many groups of. So it's kind of like taking a division problem and flipping it around. So if I asked you what 16 divided by 4 is, you might not be able to tell me that, but if I said 4 times what gives me 16, you might be able to tell me it's 4 times 4. This is the similar setup where they've given us a division problem, but they also first flipped it. 4 groups of how many tenths is going to give us 1 and 6 tenths. Well, we know that 1 and 6 tenths is equivalent to 16 tenths. So let's go over to our place value chart and let's draw on 16 tenths. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 16. All right, so now I have 1, 2, 3, 4 equal groups, and I'm going to take all of these tenths that are here and I'm going to divide them into 4 equal groups. This takes us back to our third grade roots. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, and 16. So one of those groups has how many tenths? It has 4 tenths in it. So 4 groups of 4 tenths equals 1 and 6 tenths. So now they want us to write the equation or complete the equation. So we have 1 and 6 tenths divided by 4 equals 4 tenths, except for I can't write it like that. That's just a 4. I need to put my 4 tenths. So I want you to try that one with question B. All right, for our next one, it wants us to complete the number sentence and then express the quotient in units and then in standard form. So quotient is just our answer for a division problem. And the way I want you to think about it is they have given us the division problem right here. Well, then right here, oops, a little bit too long of a line. Right here is the exact same thing, but it's given to us in unit form. So they want us to write 4 and 2 tenths as tenths. Well, they can smush over there into 42 tenths, and they want us to divide that by 7. Well, then I'm left with, I'm going to ignore tenths and just look at this basic fact, 42 divided by 7. So if we know our basic facts, 42 divided by 7 is 6. So now I have 6 tenths. That is my final answer. But they want you to write your quotient not only in unit form, but also in standard form. So 6 tenths. So when you go to B, it's a little bit more confusing only because they broke up the ones place and then in decimal places. So first they want to know 2 divided by 2 because they focused on the whole number. Then they move to the decimal part and we are still going to divide that by 2. When I do that, I have to put my answers that I get from both of them back together. Whatever I get here and whatever I get here, I get put back together with addition. So that's why you see this addition symbol here. So we need to know how many ones are in this problem and how many hundredths are in this problem because both are getting divided by 2, just like our original problem. Well, there are 2 ones and there's a 4 in the hundredths place, but it's not asking for my tenths anywhere. So they want us to smush those tenths into the hundredths place. So I have 64 tenths. So once I've done that, you need to take 2 ones divided by 2. How many ones would you get? So that would be this problem here. Then you need to take, ooh, seeing now, my decimal was off. There we go, 64 hundredths divided by 2. Well, what would you get when you divided those? you would write your hundredths here. After you've done that, remember I said we had to take our two partial quotients and put them back together. That's where your final answer is going to go. So I'll do this one partially with you. I'm going to leave one step for you. So 2 ones divided by 2, so 2 divided by 2 is 1, 1. Now we have 64 divided by 2. So if I know what 6 divided by 2 is, that's 3, and 4 divided by 2 is 2, I am going to have 32 hundredths. But now you have to take these unit form numbers and put them into standard form as a decimal right here. I'm going to leave C for you to do on your own, but recognize that they have a whole number. Sorry, Ellie's barking in the background. And the hundredths. So here's my whole number. Here's my hundredths. They put it together with an addition symbol. So now we have a word problem. It says 12 and 48 milliliters of medicine were separated into doses of 4 milliliters each. How many doses were made? So when we do word problems, we look for the parts and the wholes first. So right here is the total amount of medicine, that's our whole. And then they separate it into 4 milliliter doses, so that's our part. But we don't know how many doses were made, how many of each bottle, or however many they could make of 4 milliliters. That's our other part. So when we think of a tape diagram, if you remember tape diagrams, we do know the whole for this tape diagram. It's 12 and 48 hundredths. And they make a vial of medicine and it's 4 milliliters. Well, then they make another and it's 4, and they make another and it's 4. What we don't know is how many copies of that they could make. So we don't know the number of copies. Just like at the beginning, we didn't know how many groups that they could make of 8. So we have to make a division problem. So we have 12 and 48 hundredths divided by 4 to figure out our number of copies. Well, let's do like we did on the last problem and let's split that up. We have 12 ones divided by 4, and we have 48 hundredths. I'm just going to shorten that, divided by 4. So both of those are basic facts. 12 divided by 12 divided by 4 is 3 ones. And then we have 48 hundredths divided by 4. Well, my 4 divided by 4 is 1. My 8 divided by 4 is 2. So now I have 3 ones and 2 hundredths. But remember, when we split it apart into whole number and decimal, we have to put them back together. So I'm going to go back to the place value chart to add 3 ones and 12 hundredths. So I have 3 ones, and then I have 12 hundredths, and I need to add those together. Well, placeholder zeros. In my hundredths place, I have a 2. In my tenths place, I have a 1. And in my ones place, I have a 3. So how many doses were made? Well, can I say 3 and 12 hundredths doses were made? I can't, because 12 hundredths of a dose doesn't make sense. So they couldn't, this number is bigger than 3, but it's less than 4. So they were only able to actually make 3 doses of medicine. So that would be my statement. All right, so now we get to the exit ticket part. So this is just like we did on problem number 1. So you're looking at groups of, so remember when you see groups of, that would be 2 times blank tenths equals 1 and 8 tenths. So we just took that and we smushed it into 18 tenths, and then we solved, and then we wrote it over here as a decimal. So you're going to do that for those 3. And then when you go to question number 2, it's just like problems number 2 that we were doing. So they took 4 and 5 tenths and they smushed it together into the tenths place, and then they divided it by 5. Here you're going to have your answer in unit form, and here it should be in standard, or what we call decimal form. Down here it's a little bit trickier because they separated the ones and the hundredths. So we need to know how many ones are in this number, how many hundredths are in that number. Both of them are going to end up getting divided by 6, just like our original one, but they're being brought together with that addition symbol. So here and here, you add them together, and then your final product goes here. If you have any questions, send me an email and we can meet at 10:15 to 10:50. That would be the time that your class is at PE and music, but I would be willing to help and meet with you at that time. All right, bye, Bella.